Hello, and welcome to The AI Safe, where seniors will find everything they need to succeed in the rising tide of AI. Now, seniors, baby boomers, you've spent a lifetime protecting your family. Why stop now? This is Keeping the AI Safe, where we turn confusion into confidence. Hi, I'm Mike Hayes. We are empowering you to become a senior AI guardian angel, spotting the risks, and sharing your wisdom. Whether you're a user, an explainer, or a senior influencer, you don't have to navigate this alone. You have the voices of reason right here. Let's protect our kids and our grandkids along with our own futures. Now, before we dive in, a quick note on how we built the AI Safe. I draw on decades of experience with NBC TV and radio networks in New York as a documentary reporter and researcher to bring you the most accurate, up-to-date information on keeping you and your family safe. I use every tool that I'm aware of, including advanced AI like Gemini, Notebook LM, ChatGPT networking, and more, to scan the horizon for you. However, I am an explainer educator, not a financial advisor or a cybersecurity engineer. The world of AI changes fast. My goal is to give you the best possible map to navigate the new AI frontier. But please use these tips as news, reviews, entertainment, and guidance, not legal advice, and always double check with your own trusted professionals before making big financial decisions. Now, let's get started with a 2-minute worldwide briefing on the AI industry for seniors, followed by our 2-minute daily topic briefing. So before you dive into our deep conversation topic today, you can decide if it's reasonable to invest your time listening to the full podcast. Here now are my AI co-hosts.
This is the brief on major AI developments. What we're seeing right now is a huge shift. It's all about making really powerful AI accessible to, well, everyone, in everything from medicine to coding. Okay, first up, Microsoft just open-sourced a model called GigaTime, and this is a game changer for cancer analysis. Get this. What used to cost thousands of dollars and take days in a lab, it can now be done with just a basic $10 tissue slide. The AI learned from 40 million cell samples, so we're talking affordable, massive-scale analysis that can actually guide treatment. Second, the French AI startup Mistral, they released a coding model called DevStrol 2. There's a smaller version that's so efficient you can run it right on your own laptop. Yeah, locally. No internet needed. That's some serious power right in your hands. And finally, for all this stuff to work together, you need standards. So you've got giants like OpenAI and Anthropic teaming up to form the Agentic AI Foundation. Basically, they're building a common playbook. This is super important because it stops companies from creating their own little walled gardens, systems that just don't talk to each other. So, when you step back, it's pretty clear what's happening. From cheaper medical insights to offline coding and shared industry rules, high-end AI is officially moving out of the lab and becoming faster, more standardized, and available to the world. This is the brief on AI safety guidelines for senior citizens. So what this is, it's a guide on how to translate these really complex AI topics into simple, empowering safety tips. And it's specifically for seniors, the baby boomer generation, who might be totally new to all this tech. Okay, first, the rules for communication are key. The approach has to be friendly, trusted, and really reassuring. It operates under a strict no-fear policy. That's why every single concept needs to be explained with an analogy from the 70s or 80s. Think library card catalogs, maybe a Rolodex, or even a Xerox machine. Second, you've got to ditch the jargon. Clarity is everything, so technical terms get replaced with simple ones. For example, a large language model, you now have to call that a smart computer program. And voice synthesis, that becomes a digital voice copy. Finally, the guide flags one really urgent safety threat, and that's voice cloning. This risk is considered so significant that it urges families to immediately set up a family safe word protocol to verify who's actually on the phone during a call. It's pretty clear that simple, jargon-free communication is what's absolutely crucial for immediate family safety and understanding in the age of AI.
Okay, let's unpack this. If you're listening to this, you're probably someone who gets that the main challenge of, the 21st century isn't finding information.
No, not at all.
It's managing the overwhelming, just the deluge of it. And right now, nothing feels more complex, more full of jargon, and frankly, more intimidating to the average person than artificial intelligence.
That's a really crucial distinction to make right at the top. The complexity of the tech itself. Whether we're talking about deep learning, neural nets, all that stuff, it creates this immediate, almost impenetrable barrier.
Right.
And when most people hit that jargon wall, they either just tune out completely or they jump to the most dramatic, often existential conclusions.
Which obscures the real, practical, right now risks and the benefits.
Exactly. It gets lost.
And that technical barrier, that's what we're fighting today. We've got this fascinating set of source materials for this deep dive. They're excerpts from an operational draft, an AI safety guide for senior citizens. And what we realized really quickly is that this isn't just a safety manual. It's a masterclass in radical simplification.
In communication, really.
Yes, it shows how to translate these incredibly dense, high-tech concepts into the simplest, most reassuring language possible.
And if we sort of connect that to the bigger picture, this failure to communicate complex things clearly, it just leads to inaction.
Or fear.
Or paralyzing fear, yeah. Especially for demographics who are completely new to this kind of rapid tech shift. We're talking, specifically the baby boomer generation. This guide tackles that hurdle head on. It knows that if you can't get past the first 5 technical words, you'll never, ever get to the safety instructions.
And that sets our mission for this deep dive perfectly. So our goal for you, the learner, is twofold. First, to understand the core dangers and, yes, the benefits of AI. But second, and maybe more importantly, is to see how you get to that understanding through this lens of radical simplification. We're going to pull out the crucial, actionable safety nuggets, the things you need to do today, without leaning on that intimidating Silicon Valley language, because, as we're about to show, that language is often the biggest obstacle to digital security.
Well, the sources give us a really clear mandate to analyze. The strategy has to prioritize knowledge and empowerment over fear.
Always.
And it explicitly says to use cultural touchstones, these nostalgic analogies from the 70s and 80s, as the bridge.
Which is brilliant.
It is, but it raises a big question for us, for an informed audience, right?
Yeah.
When you simplify a concept this much, how much crucial detail gets lost in translation?
And yet, paradoxically,
how much more effective is it in actually preventing real-world harm? Can calling an LLM a smart computer program really deliver effective safety advice?
We're going to spend the next 30 minutes or so digging right into that paradox. Our key takeaways for you today will cover the specific word swaps that just dismantle jargon, how this guide maps modern AI onto familiar analog tech.
The single most critical scam you need to watch for today, what the guide calls the ugly.
And why setting up a family safe word is becoming the most effective, low-tech defense against the newest high-tech threats.
Wow.
So we have to start where the guide starts, with the foundation, the whole philosophy of communication here. And this whole strategy is built on tone. The guide kicks off with a non-negotiable fundamental rule. Do not make this topic scary.
Right.
The tone must be empowering and instructional.
That starting point, that rule, it defines the entire effectiveness of the document for its audience.
Absolutely.
Fear, especially techno-fear, it leads directly to avoidance, shutdown. If your first message is that AI is this uncontrollable, malicious thing designed to steal your data or your job,
the immediate reaction, especially from someone who, came of age before the internet,
is to just disengage, keep it at a distance.
Yeah.
And that means they never get the safety instructions. They never internalize them.
If they shut down, you've lost. You get zero safety compliance. For seniors, empowerment is directly tied to giving them manageable, concrete actions.
Yes.
Not overwhelming technical explanations. You don't ask them to understand backpropagation.
Of course not.
You tell them they need a secret password for phone calls. The second one is an action they can take today. The first is a reason to put the guide down forever. It's all about getting that compliance through comfort, not cognitive load.
And we should really take a second to contrast this with the common media narrative.
Oh, yeah.
What do you see in the headlines about AI? It's all existential risk, complex regulatory fights, apocalyptic warnings about AGI. And look, those are legitimate long-term concerns for, technologists and politicians.
But for the everyday user,
it creates this overwhelming sense of helplessness. This guide smartly just bypasses all of it. Gets it for basic adoption, for utility, and for safety. You need a relentlessly positive, empowering approach. It grounds the tech in personal relevance.
It's all about, what does this mean for me and my family?
Exactly. Not, what does this mean for the future of humanity?
A focus on the micro-level high-impact reality instead of a macro-level, speculative future. And that positive frame is just essential for unlocking the trust you need for them to keep reading.
Precisely. Which brings us to the second, more tactical part of this philosophy, the Jargon translation table.
This is fascinating.
It is, because of the absolute clarity of the language substitution. They're not just simplifying. They're actively defining that barrier between the tech expert and the new user, and then systematically dismantling it.
Okay, let's break down the two key substitutions from the source material. Let's analyze their power.
First one, the cornerstone. A large language model, or LLM, becomes smart computer program.
When you look at that, it's such a radical simplification. Why is smart computer program so much more effective than, say, AI chatbot or advanced algorithm for this demographic?
It's all in the functional description.
Yeah.
Large language model is intimidating. Large implies scale you can't handle. Model implies some abstract technical blueprint. But smart computer program is instantly accessible. Program is a known, safe part of a computer. And smart just tells you what it does.
It answers questions. It can talk.
Yeah. It tells the user, you do not need to know how the transformer architecture works, only what the software does. It demystifies the structure by focusing 100% on utility.
It shifts the entire cognitive burden away from architecture and onto the interaction. So for our learner audience, let's bridge this back. When the guide says smart computer program, what it's abstracting away is this massive multi-trillion parameter neural network, a GPC model.
A predictive text engine on steroids, basically.
And the decision to call it a program is a psychological masterstroke because it frames it as software.
Something that can be controlled, updated.
Exactly. Not some independent, unknowable entity.
And that abstraction is necessary. If you try to explain tokenization or attention mechanisms, you'd instantly violate that no-fear rule. The goal is safe interaction, not a PhD in computer science.
Okay, now let's do the second one. This one is even more crucial for safety. Voice synthesis becomes digital voice copy.
This is a brilliant translation, just brilliant.
Why?
Synthesis is a technical term. It sounds academic, abstract, maybe even helpful, like chemical synthesis. It doesn't carry an inherent threat.
The digital voice copy
Immediately screams threat vector. It draws a direct line to forgery, to duplication, to fraud. You instantly get that a copy can be used to impersonate your loved ones.
It weaponizes simple, common language to make the user more vigilant.
It does. It focuses the user on the malicious potential of the tech, which is everything for safety, not the complex process behind it. It grounds the abstract tech in the tangible idea of forgery.
Like faking a signature.
Or, as we'll get to, copying a document on a machine. If I have a digital voice copy of your son, I can pretend to be him. The guide makes that threat instantly real and actionable.
This entire philosophy is then held up by the third element, the power of nostalgic analogies.
Yeah, the guide explicitly requires explaining every concept, using examples from the 1970s or 80s. This is the critical communication bridge for that demographic.
Because it maps the new, unfamiliar idea onto an existing, deeply understood mental model.
You don't have to build a concept from scratch. You just rename a familiar experience.
So let's detail the 3 mandatory analogies from the source material and analyze why they're so powerful and, what modern tech concept they're secretly explaining for our audience.
First up, the Xerox machine.
The Xerox machine. It's the perfect analogy for digital copies, replication, even deepfakes. If you try to explain digital signatures or cryptographic proof, you lose them.
Instantly.
But if you say, the AI made a perfect Xerox of a voice, they get the core concept immediately. The output looks or sounds exactly like the original.
But it is fundamentally not the original.
And that distinction, perfect similarity, but zero authenticity, that's the entire safety concept behind deepfake defense.
The Xerox machine was the ultimate tool for non-digital replication for decades. It's a tangible, physical anchor that already carries the baggage of forgery and copyright issues. It all translates perfectly.
Okay, next, the guide mandates using the library card catalog.
A great one for explaining databases, search functions, and specifically how a smart computer program, an LM, retrieves information. It grounds this idea of massive information retrieval in a familiar, physical, organized system.
So when the AI answers a question, it's not calculating a latent space vector field.
No, it's looking up the information in the biggest card catalog ever made.
And for our informed listener, this is secretly a brilliant way to explain retrieval augmented generation, RGA systems.
Exactly. RGA is what happens when you connect an LLM to a specific knowledge base. The card catalog represents that retrieval part of the RGA system.
And crucially, the analogy also subtly prepares the user for imperfection.
How so?
Well, if the card catalog was misfiled, or if it only had books from before 1985, the AI's answer would reflect that.
Ah, I see. So it helps explain why the smart computer program might give you outdated or biased information. Because its source material, its card catalog, wasn't perfect.
It's a profound point. It manages user expectations. They're not expecting a perfect oracle anymore. They're expecting a smart librarian with a flawed but huge set of index cards.
And the last one, the Rolodex.
The Rolodex, a mandatory analogy for personalization, contact lists, simple databases. When the AI remembers your preferences or your previous conversations, it's just sorting through a very complex, personalized Rolodex of data points about you.
It makes personalization seem less creepy and more like a functional tool that's designed to help you. For the learner, the Rolodex represents feature engineering, turning raw data into features a model can use. It's the ultimate simplification of a personalization engine.
So when you synthesize this whole philosophy, no fear, translated jargon, nostalgic analogies, you realize it's all designed to lower the activation energy for a new user to actually engage with safety measures.
They move from confusion to comprehension in seconds, because the concept is just mapped onto decades of real-world experience they already have. And the goal isn't cognitive brilliance.
It's behavioral compliance.
Exactly. It shifts the focus from understanding the machine to understanding the consequences of the machine. And when you focus on consequences like impersonation via a digital voice copy, safety becomes intuitive, not technical.
That is a powerful synthesis. The guide really proves that the biggest hurdle in AI safety isn't the technology at all. It's the language we use to describe it. Knowing that, let's move from this foundation into the actual safety protocols.
So building on that philosophy, the guide immediately pivots to the most critical high-velocity threat. The kitchen table summary, as they call it, is razor sharp. AI matters because it affects how your family communicates and, critically, how you verify identity.
That's the fundamental threat vector they hammer home. This isn't abstract cyber warfare. It's an attack on the basic human trust mechanisms we use every single day.
And we really have to stress this shift for our audience. Most of us grew up worrying about tech scams.
Phishing emails, malicious links, attachments.
Right. The guide signals that the primary immediate threat now, especially for vulnerable populations, is vocal phishing, voice scams, all facilitated by these digital voice copies.
For older generations who grew up on the telephone, who rely so heavily on voice and tone as trust signals, a high-quality voice copy is just a direct, overwhelming attack on a lifetime of learned behavior.
The guide is so clear. If you cannot reliably tell the difference between a real voice and a digital voice copy, your family's finances are at immediate personal risk.
They don't talk about threats to the global financial system.
No. They talk about the threat to your savings account. And that makes the risk immediate and visceral. The clarity of that threat justifies the urgency.
And it leads directly into the countermeasure they push for, combating the voice cloning scam with the family safe word.
The sources highlight that one specific urgent scenario. The AI creates a perfect replica of a loved one's voice, and then you get the urgency scam.
The script is always the same, isn't it?
Always. I'm in trouble, I'm in jail, I need money wired right now, and I can't explain. These scams rely on two things working together. Manufactured high-stress urgency, which short-circuits critical thinking.
And the perceived absolute authenticity of the caller. If that voice sounds exactly like your child, the emotional rush is just, it's overwhelming. Verification is the last thing on your mind.
Which is why the family safe word is so essential. It is a non-digital, non-technical, human-centric security layer. It creates a deliberate friction point.
A pause.
A pause, exactly. Yeah. And we should really do a deep dive into the structure of the script itself, the one the senior is meant to read to their family. The guide insists on a friendly, non-accusatory tone.
And the genius in the opening line is how non-confrontational it is. Hi, kids. I learned something new about AI today. It's not a fearful warning. It's not an accusation that the kids are irresponsible. It frames it as shared active learning by the senior.
That positioning is so key for intergenerational communication. The senior isn't being told they're vulnerable. They're presenting a solution based on new knowledge. It positions them as being actively engaged with the tech, and the kids are invited into a shared family defense plan.
Then the script moves right to the threat, using the simplified language. Criminals can now make a digital voice copy of anyone. Again, no jargon. It's all about the outcome. Impersonation.
And then the solution: establish a pre-agreed secret password. It must be exchanged before any urgent, unexpected financial talk. And the guide stresses it has to be non-digital.
Don't write it down, don't email it, don't text it.
Because the criminals could be spoofing those texts too, or have access to a stolen phone.
The safe word acts as an emotional circuit breaker. Someone calls with an emergency, asks for money, and the senior's trained program response is, that sounds terrible. Before we do anything, what's the safe word?
And if the voice clone on the other end doesn't have that unique human-created piece of data,
the scam is dead in the water, even if the voice is perfect.
This reliance on human memory and pre-commitment, instead of installing new software or some complex authentication app, is what makes it impervious to current tech. A machine can generate a perfect voice, but it can't guess an arbitrary word agreed upon in a private conversation months ago.
And think about the behavioral benefit for the senior. It removes the burden of auditory verification.
Right. They don't have to try and figure out if the voice is fake, which is basically impossible now.
Instead of fighting a losing battle against hyper-realistic audio, they just have to ask one short, pre-scripted question. It immediately moves the conversation from the emotional high-stress zone into the rational security check zone.
This is probably the most practical, immediately actionable nugget for any listener, regardless of your family's ages. If you do one thing today to improve your security, this is it. It's a verbal protocol that verifies the human behind the call, not the channel that came through.
It's the ultimate low-tech defense against the most sophisticated audio fraud. The success of this section of the guide is just its ability to translate a complex, nebulous threat into a clear, single-step defense. It's a perfect example of behavioral safety engineering.
So we have to remember the guide's core philosophy. You can't encourage engagement if you only present the risks.
Right, you have to show the value.
To convince a new user that the risk is worth managing, you have to first show them the personal value proposition. And that's where Section 3, the good, the bad, and the ugly, comes in. It's deliberately structured for a balanced view.
Okay, let's start with the good. The guide is very specific here. It says the technology helps seniors primarily with two things: health and hobbies.
Which is a shrewd selection.
Yeah.
These are the two areas where older demographics often need the most direct help, or where they find the most personal fulfillment.
Let's analyze the health part in detail. We're talking about basic, helpful applications that use the organizational power of a smart computer program.
Like scheduling assistance, personalized medication reminders.
Or even tracking adherence to a physiotherapy routine.
Think about managing a chronic condition. It requires these complex daily routines, multiple medications, specific diets, appointments. Relying just on memory is so prone to error.
The smart computer program acts as this tireless, non-judgmental digital assistant. It organizes and prompts you to stick to the plan way better than a wall calendar could.
And in a triage situation, it can help with simple diagnostics. A user could describe a set of symptoms in natural language, which is key.
And the AI, with its pattern recognition, can suggest next steps. It's not replacing the doctor.
No, but it's providing that crucial initial guidance, like, based on these symptoms, you should call your doctor and specifically mention X, Y, and Z. It empowers them to be better informed patients. It reduces panic.
Then there are hobbies. The personal enrichment side. This is where AI can really shine, catering to niche interests that require deep historical data.
Yeah, if someone's interested in, I don't know, 19th century needlepoint techniques or researching local history from the 40s.
Or finding an obscure resource for woodworking. The smart computer program can pull and synthesize that information way faster than a traditional library search.
It grounds the tech in these positive personal use cases. It changes the narrative from AI is a futuristic threat to...
AI is a digital assistant helping me pursue my lifelong passion for antique clock repair.
Right. And that personalized utility builds the goodwill and trust you need for the user to then accept the safety warnings that come next.
Which brings us to the bad. The point of confusion.
This section focuses on one major area of cognitive friction for new users.
Yeah.
And based on the context, it's clearly the difficulty of telling AI-generated content apart from verified human-written content.
This is the core reliability issue that all of us face, really. If the smart computer program is so good at generating confident, well-written text, how do you know if it's actually true?
And for our learner listener, this is where we have to introduce the technical term hallucination. The hallucination isn't the AI lying on purpose. It's the model just generating the most statistically probable sequence of words based on its training data instead of retrieving a verified fact. The output is fluent, it's confident, but it's factually wrong.
To use their own analog framework, if the AI is using that card catalog, the confusion happens when the AI thinks it found a card for a fact, but it actually just created a highly plausible new card in its own perfect handwriting.
Mixing truth and fiction seamlessly.
Yeah.
And the danger is amplified because the AI's output is designed to sound authoritative.
A new user expecting a digital encyclopedia will often just assume the output is factual, even when it's totally wrong. The confidence of the misinformation is the real danger.
And we also have to touch on bias, which is the second point of confusion.
Yeah.
If the AI was trained mostly on historical data or data from specific cultures,
the output will reflect and perpetuate that. If you ask about the history of women in science and its card catalog is dominated by male historical figures, the AI is just going to reinforce that skewed view.
the new user won't get that the machine isn't an objective oracle. It's a complex reflection of its training data. It's like a funhouse mirror, reflecting the world's flaws back at you, but delivered with machine authority. The confusion comes from expecting digital perfection and getting human error, delivered with machine confidence.
The safety lesson there is subtle but vital. Always verify surprising facts independently, especially from the smart computer program.
And finally, we get to the ugly. This part is structured to focus on the immediate, current, and most damaging threat they need to watch for today.
And the guide is very clear that the ugly is the immediate and high-impact application of the digital voice copy technology in fraud schemes. It reiterates the urgency.
It's not a long-term theoretical risk. This is an active, high-velocity crime happening right now. The specificity of that warning helps the user prioritize their defense. The message is clear. You can learn about AI bias later. Right now, you need to worry about the scammer as a copy of your grandson's voice.
And it creates that powerful link right back to the preventative action we just talked about.
The family safe word. The ugly exists because the tool for perfect mimicry exists. Therefore, the defense has to be low-tech, non-technical, and something you can do right now. That structure, good, bad, ugly, it ensures the most critical safety message lands with the maximum impact.
That deep dive into the content strategy really shows how expertly they manage that tension between fear and empowerment. So now let's pivot a little, away from the content itself, and let's look at the meta-level insights this guide offers, specifically about how to deliver safety info effectively, and counterintuitively, how to interact with the very AI tools that might deliver it.
The source material had these specific instructions for the tone of an audio safety briefing. It mandated it be warm, slow-paced, and clear.
That seems like basic advice, but it shows a deep understanding of cognitive processing, especially for brand new concepts.
The speed of delivery is non-negotiable for success here. When you're hit with information that requires that rapid mental mapping, like the jump from voice synthesis to digital voice copy, your brain just needs more time.
The voice has to slow way down to reduce that cognitive load, to allow the listener time to make that cross-reference.
And the warmth is a defensive psychological tactic. A cold, technical voice just increases the feeling of complexity and anxiety.
A warm, human-like voice aligns perfectly with the guide's mission to be an empowering guide from a trusted source. It lowers the listener's defenses, makes them more receptive.
This whole instructional part reinforces a crucial principle. Effective communication is usually about removing friction. The best content in the world is useless if the delivery makes the listener shut down before they get to the critical point.
Then the script ends the section with an explicit invitation to action, visiting senioraifoundation.org.
Right. It emphasizes that education has to lead to application. But for our audience, we need to analyze the strategy there. Why send them to a specific URL instead of just putting all the steps in the booklet?
It's about trust architecture. By creating a dedicated, trustworthy resource hub, separate from the sensationalism of mainstream tech news, the authors are creating a single, reliable source.
It's a strategic move to build authority in this fractured information landscape. It also ensures the safety steps can be continuously updated. They're not just static text on a page.
Which brings us to a really fascinating segment for our learner audience. The meta tip for generating instructional audio using AI.
This is where it gets really interesting. The guide gives this crucial meta-level tip for anyone who wants to use AI tools to create instructional content. It suggests curating the output by uploading supplemental text files with specific instructions.
You're basically teaching the AI how to behave.
It's a sophisticated lesson in prompt engineering for accessibility, even if the user isn't typing a traditional prompt. They're providing very specific guardrails for the model's communication style.
Let's review those target instructions that were meant to be uploaded. Target audience, senior 65++. Tone, slow, clear, respectful, non-technical. Goal, education and safety.
If you just give an AI a stack of technical articles and say, summarize this, it will generate a technical summary.
Jargon and all.
Exactly. But by uploading these highly contextual instructions, you're telling the AI not just what to say, but how to sound, who it's talking to, and what the ultimate behavioral outcome needs to be.
This is a perfect demonstration that instructing a smart computer program about the vibe, the reading level, the audience, it's just as important as instructing it on the topic itself.
For our learner listener, this is a critical insight into using modern generative AI tools. If you want truly accessible, audience-specific output, you have to be explicit about style and tone.
You're leveraging the AI's vast knowledge of language and communication styles by giving it the right constraints.
It's the difference between asking, summarize this article on deepfakes, and asking, summarize this article on digital copies for a kindly neighbor who trusts the telephone, use a calm pace, and only emphasize the actionable security steps.
The human element isn't just in the source knowledge anymore.
No, it's in designing the communication protocol for maximum comprehension and minimum friction.
This whole section provides a huge aha moment. It shows that successful communication about AI, even when it's generated by AI, requires careful human design focused on accessibility. We're learning to design the emotional scaffolding around the data. So we started this deep dive analyzing a seemingly simple communication challenge, how to teach AI safety to non-technical users. And we've ended up with these highly specific, actionable safety steps and, critical meta-level insights into how AI itself works as a communication tool.
The core lesson is just so clear. Radical simplification is the fastest way to get to true comprehension and safety. When you replace these abstract, scary terms with tangible, relatable concepts.
Turning large language model into smart computer program.
You bypass the technological anxiety and go straight to the solution. The effectiveness of this guide really proves that language is the single biggest determinant of safety compliance.
And we also saw that the best defenses against the newest high-tech threats are often brilliantly low-tech.
Inherently human.
Yeah, the guide didn't suggest complex technical solutions that need constant updates.
That's right. The single most important defense against these high-quality audio scams is not technology. It's low-tech human agreement.
So if you take one critical action item from this deep dive,
it should be the immediate implementation of the family safe word today. It's be the cheapest, most effective security upgrade you can get because it relies on the one thing a machine cannot reliably fake: private, arbitrary human memory.
And as we close out, we want to leave you with one final provocative thought, something that builds on the implications of perfect digital mimicry and where these generative models are going.
This raises a really important question for the learner. Given the exponential leap from simple voice synthesis to real-time, high-fidelity multimodal generation, meaning the AI can generate a perfect voice, video, and text sequence all at once, how does that fundamentally redefine digital trust?
If the AI can perfectly impersonate anyone across all mediums, then our reliance on digital verification it becomes inherently compromised.
So if the default setting for any digital interaction has to move from, I believe this is real, to,
I assume this is potentially fake until proven otherwise,
then the only verification methods we can truly rely on are these pre-agreed, non-digital mechanisms. What does a global environment built on universal digital skepticism look like? And what new forms of human-centric security protocols, beyond a simple safe word, will we need to invent to maintain functional trust in a world where everything we see, hear, and read can be perfectly imitated?
That's the challenge that simplification helps us prepare for. Think on the future of trust, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.
You now have all the knowledge that you need. The next step is yours. Don't keep this safeguard to yourself. Share it with people you love. Visit aifoundation.org. Join the watch. Check your daily briefing at aipodcastlistening.com. And for the deep dive, unlock the video vault at the aisafe.com. Be the AI guardian angel your family needs. I'm Mike Hayes with mikesai.com. Stay safe, stay curious, and let's always keep the AI safe.